Oh, hello there. I hope you're doing alright tonight. You just caught me reading the manual for another one of my favorite games of all time. And that game is Three Dirty Dwarves on the Sega Saturn. Would you like me to read you some of the manual, if not all of it, if you're interested? Well, I'll go ahead and do that. Thank you so much. Three Dirty Dwarves. These guys don't mind playing dirty, they live for it. Rated T for teen. Warnings. Read before using your Sega video game system. Epilepsy warning. A very small percentage of individuals may experience epileptic seizures when exposed to certain light patterns or flashing lights. Exposure to certain patterns or backgrounds on a television screen or while playing video games may induce an epileptic seizure in these individuals. Certain conditions may induce undetected epileptic symptoms even in persons who have no history of prior seizures or epilepsy. If you or anyone in your family has an epileptic condition, consult your physician prior to playing. If you experience any of the following symptoms while playing a video game: dizziness, altered vision, eye or muscle twitches, disorientation, loss of awareness, any involuntary movement or convulsions, immediately discontinue use and consult your physician before resuming play. Projection television warning. Still pictures or images may cause permanent picture tube damage or mark the phosphor of the CRT. Avoid repeated or extended use of video games on large screen projection televisions. Sega Saturn video game use. This CD-ROM can only be used with the Sega Saturn system. Do not attempt to play this CD-ROM on any other CD player. Doing so may damage the headphones and speakers. This game is licensed by Sega for home play on the Sega Saturn system only. Unauthorized copying, reproduction, rental, public performance, or broadcast of this game is a violation of applicable laws. The characters and events portrayed in this game are purely fictional. Any similarity to other persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Handling your compact disc. The Sega Saturn compact disc is intended for use exclusively on the Sega Saturn system. Avoid bending the disc. Do not touch, smudge, or scratch its surface. Do not leave the disc in direct sunlight or near a radiator or other source of heat. Always store the disc in its protective case. ESRB rating. This product has been rated by the Entertainment Software Rating Board. For information about the ESRB rating, or to comment about the appropriateness of the rating, please contact the ESRB at 1-800-771-3772. I'm not sure if that phone number still is valid. Visit Sega's internet sites at website http://www.sega.com. Email webmaster@sega.com. CompuServe. Go Sega. I'm going to go ahead and skip the Learn Sega Game Secrets now. Alright, how about that? To whomever is out there, our parents were test tubes. Our nursery was a genetics lab. A top secret military installation somewhere in upstate New York is our only home. We are 4 children being held against our will. Our names are Laura, Gregory, Billy, and Kyle. Surrounded by guards, experimental weapons, and a hostile environment, we have no hope of escaping by ourselves. But we have a plan. We combined Einstein's theory of relativity, superstring theory, and the laws of chance to create a game. This game begins in a parallel world, populated by dragons and swarming with nasties. There is a gate between that world and ours. We have avatars in that world, 3 dwarves named Greg, Taconic, and Corthag. They are our champions. With skill, endurance, and a lot of luck, the dwarves will find the gateway to this world and come for us. We have faith that this will happen. It will not be easy. Nasties and dragons are bound to come through the gate with them. The dwarves will be alone in a strange world, armed only with what weapons they can find. The humans they meet will probably not give them a warm reception. So the dwarves need your help. We will try to give you all the information you need. This is a game to you, but it could mean freedom for us. Thank you, Laura. Contents. Getting started, page 3. Game controls, page 4. Moving around and switching dwarves, 5. Normal attacks, 5. Skulls, 6. Power attacks, 6. Morph dwarf, 7. Brawl, 7. Greg, 8. Taconic, 9. Corthag, 10. How did the dwarves get here? 11. Most wanted hit list, 13. Mission map, 18. Amazing Bronx facts, 20. Mission briefings, 21. WST or Weapons Systems Technology, 24. Personnel files, 26. Pesky Interview, 32. Memo from Colonel Waggon Briggs, 34. Credits, 35. Getting started. Set up the Sega Saturn system, following the instructions in its hardware manual. Plug in 1 or 2 controllers. Note, up to 3 players can play by connecting a Sega 6-player multiplayer adapter and a 3rd controller. Step 2. Insert the game CD and press power to turn the system on. Make sure the power is off before inserting or removing a CD. Step 3. You'll see a series of logos, followed by the title screen. Wait a few moments to watch the game's animated story. Press start to redisplay the title screen. Step 4. Press start at the title screen to begin. If you've just finished setting options, use the D-pad to highlight Game Start and press Start. Setting options before starting. At the title screen, press the D-pad down to highlight options, and press Start or button C to open the menu. Select an option, D-pad up or down. Change a setting, D-pad left or right. Exit. Highlight main menu and press Start or button C. Levels. Select a level to play. After clearing a level, you can replay it by remaining in the same difficulty mode. For example, if you clear 5 levels in easy mode, you can replay them as long as you stay in easy mode. If you restart the game in normal or hard mode, you must clear the levels again. Players. Select 1, 2, or 3, depending on how many controllers are connected. Mode. Set the game difficulty. Easy. 7 levels. Levels end when all 3 dwarves are knocked silly. Collect red power skulls at the top of the screen to perform power attacks, brawls, and morph dwarfs. Normal. 15 levels. Levels end when all 3 dwarves get bashed and dizzy. Special moves use more power skulls than in easy mode. Hard. 15 levels. Levels end when all dwarves get bashed or when you lose all white health skulls. 1 disappears each time a dwarf gets bashed. Special moves require even more power skulls. More nasties all around. Obstacles are tougher. Skulls are harder to get. Orcs gang up faster and meaner. Music. Set music on or off. Sound effects remain on. Output mode. Select stereo or mono depending on your sound system. Game controls. L shift or R shift. One tap. Switches dwarves. 1 or 2 players only. 5 quick taps. Brawl. Uses 3 power skulls. Button X. Power attack 1. Uses 1 power skull. Button Y. Power attack 2. Uses 2 power skulls. Button Z. Morph dwarf. Uses 3 power skulls. Button C is jump. Button B is short range attack. Button A is long range attack. Start button is pause or continue. D-pad. Any direction moves dwarf. Rapid left or right. Revive dwarf. 2 or 3 players only. Moving around and switching dwarves. 1 player mode. The dwarf you're controlling leads and fights. The others follow but won't fight. They're dimmed. Switch dwarves at will with 1 tap on L shift or R shift. It's your job to pick the best leader for whatever trouble you're up against. If your dwarf gets bashed or dizzy, another dwarf takes the lead and you now control him. Revive bashed dwarves by smacking them till they come to. Leaving a dizzy dwarf behind is a bad idea. If a dwarf turns up missing in action, look in trash cans and boxes down the road. You'll find them. 2 players. Both players control dwarves who can fight, while the third, dimmed, dwarf follows. Either player can switch to the dimmed dwarf with a tap on L shift or R shift. In round robin style, any dwarf that's tapped for control can fight, while the just released dwarf becomes a non-com. When dwarves are knocked cold, either player can revive the bashee with a smash, or revive your own dwarf by pressing the D-pad left, right rapidly. 3 players. Each player controls the same dwarf for the entire game, unless players switch controllers. Any player can revive a knockdown dwarf with a good smack, or revive your own dwarf by pressing the D-pad left or right rapidly. Normal attacks. Press button A to bag an orc with a long-range hit. Press B button for a solid, straightforward clout at close quarters. Cracking ribs with a bat, busting kneecaps with bowling balls, and blasting away with a 12 gauge all have their own time frame. Relax and learn them. There's no rapid fire. Skulls. Health skulls. In all modes, levels end when all 3 dwarves are knocked cold. Hard mode has a double whammy. The level will also end when you lose all 7 whirling white health skulls at the top of the screen. 1 health skull disappears anytime any dwarf takes a hit. Lose all the health skulls and slink back to the beginning of the level or start a different level. Power skulls. Red power skulls at the top of the screen fuel the dwarves' power attacks, brawls, and morph dwarfs. When bashed, orcs, boxes, trash cans, and other containers might drop skulls, or sometimes the kids' red game die. Capture these to collect power skulls. You can have up to 7 at a time. Capture 7 white skulls to get 1 power skull. Capture game die to get 5 power skulls. Read on and discover the many fine uses for power skulls. Power attacks. Each dwarf has a pair of power attacks he can pull off for impressive solo orc butt kicking. See each dwarf's profile page for details. Button X gives you the effect of Power Attack 1, which requires 1 power skull. Button Y gives you the effect of Power Attack 2, which requires 2 power skulls. Morph Dwarf. The boys are tough on their own, but when Morph Dwarf happens, they turn into a big, ugly gang of 1. All three dwarves must be conscious to activate Morph Dwarf. How they morph depends on who is lead dwarf when the morph moment occurs. Be sure orcs are in your line of fire. Morph dwarfs are timed, so plan these attacks to get the most mileage. Button Z in easy mode requires 3 power skulls. Button Z in normal mode requires 3 power skulls. Button Z in hard mode also requires 3 power skulls. Brawl. Brawl is perfect for scouring an area of orcs. All dwarves must be conscious to brawl, and the attacks are timed. Actually, brawl begins when the boys start slapping each other around until they get mad. The orcs are just innocent bystanders who get creamed accidentally while the dwarves are pounding each other senseless. 5 quick taps on either shift button, aim with D-pad. In easy, normal, and hard mode, it requires 3 power skulls. Now we're in the profiles page. Greg, power attacks. Battle axe. Press X, requires 1 power skull. Swings bat in a downward arc. Bat ballet, press Y, requires 2 power skulls. Whirls bat in a 360 degree arc. Use the D-pad to direct the spin. Morph Dwarf transforms the boys into a sloppy, disgusting, but accurate baseball and chaw hawker. Taconic. Power attacks. Pin spin, which is the X button, requires 1 power skull. Pistol whips orc mugs with a bowling pin. Flying ball slam. Button Y, requires 2 power skulls. Grabs air and beans the nearest orc heads with the bowling balls. Use the D-pad to direct the strikes. Morph Dwarf transforms the team into a rapid-fire bowling ball shooter. Corthag. Power attacks. Kick and fire. Control is button X. Requires 1 power skull. Throws an overhead kick and follows up with a rowdy shotgun blast. Triple shots. Button Y. Requires 2 power skulls. Corthag's scattergun goes full auto. Morph Dwarf unleashes a firestorm of heavy artillery. How did the Dwarves Get Here? By Harriman Foster, PhD. Some of you have expressed concerns about the impossibility of a gateway, or portal, leading from another dimension to this one. It's not impossible at all. Let me explain. Imaginary dimensions. First of all, the other dimension described in this game is imaginary. It doesn't exist. But non-existence only makes interdimensional travel that much easier. You see, when a dimension is a figment of the imagination, the normal rules of physics no longer apply. And keep in mind, the normal rules of physics are outmoded anyways. The intelligence factor. Experts agree that 2 main intelligence indicators are 1. The ability to learn from experience, and 2. The ability to adapt to one's environment. The 4 children who created these dwarves and their environment are, by all accounts, exceptionally intelligent. Their IQs are off the charts. Being geniuses, they must know that actual experience is a better teacher than an imaginary one. It's also easier to adapt to a literal environment than a virtual one. These children are also perfectionists. Even in their play, they strive for perfection. Since it is more perfect to exist than not to exist, the interdimensional gate must therefore be real. By locating the dwarves outside their own minds, that is, in an imaginary world, they have created a space-time paradox that must be resolved. The dwarves, in essence, are stray thoughts that must eventually return to their source, i.e., the children's brains. Much as an endorphin must leap from synapse to one nerve cell to another, so must the dwarves. In Dwarves, nice pun, jump through the gate to this world. The uncertainty principle. The so-called uncertainty principle also plays a role. As Heisenberg theorized, even the simplest observation of a phenomenon will change the phenomenon. Since these dwarves are imaginary, they cannot be observed. Any attempt to do so will create a space-time anomaly, a paradox if you will, which can only be resolved by making the dwarves real, that is, beings that can be physically observed. That means bringing them into this world of observable phenomena where they can go through many changes. The theory of relativity. Furthermore, Albert Einstein proved that the only absolute in the universe is the speed of light. Space and time are relative. So if we can imagine dwarves existing in another space and time, then they must be real, relatively speaking. Therefore, whatever we imagine them doing will have at least as much fixed reality as, say, the price of gasoline. Perhaps even more reality. Black hole. Theoretically, they could even have traveled through a black hole to arrive here. After all, being fictitious, they wouldn't have to worry about their atoms being crushed into a subatomic paste. In conclusion, attempts to come up with a universal field theory, a theory that explains everything, have so far been unsuccessful. Until such a theory can be found, the Three Dirty Dwarves can travel pretty much anywhere they want. Yes, in the light of new physics, the idea of smelly beings from other worlds landing here and wreaking havoc is not only possible, but in some alternative universes anyways, unavoidable. Hope this clears things up. Most wanted hit list. Pit Bully, aka Tore Up Terry, or Cuddles. This fearsome opponent wears terriers the way some guys wear jewelry. Despite appearances, no animals were injured in the making of this game. Naked Ninja, or Ninjas, aka Skinjas. Early in their training, these deadly fighters took a vow of nudity. By overcoming embarrassment in social situations, they have become fearless warriors. Frazetta, a four-armed freak determined to rip you limb from limb. Where did he come from? Nobody knows. Boxer, or Boxers. Lightweights, aka Aaron the Feather Fritz, Sparring Sean, Wuss Heavyweights, aka Steve Steamrolla, Bourdet, Glassjawed George, Punchy Pete, Puss. They may have been hit in the head one too many times, but these punch-drunk pugilists are still a force to be reckoned with. Voodoo Child, aka Chicken Surprise. Do you believe in magic? He does. Onion Merchant, aka Stinky. This enemy will bring tears to your eyes. Man of 1,000 Swords, aka Mott's. Believe it or not, this red-eyed swordsman was once a mild-mannered salesman from Jersey City. One day, something snapped. Authority figures. Prison guards, aka Pen Ref, Calaboose Cal, Pork, The Man, Billy Club. Bad men with badges. Security guard or guards, aka Spam Man, Porker, Snoozer, Mr. Z's. Awake these sleeping giants at your peril. Bad apples. Bomb Boy or Boys, aka Napalm Brothers, Mad Bomber, Molotov Man, Juvie Pyro, Nuked Up Nasties. Mop Guy, aka Mop Convict, Abe the Custodian, Bubba the Cleaning Lady, Red Dust Wrangler. Cleanliness isn't always next to anything. Terrible Infants, aka Cleaver Kid, MX Baby, Radioactive Baby, Fallout Baby. Rugrats on a Rampage. Convict or Convicts, aka Sturbirds, Brig Rats, Geezoids, Square Johns. 3-time losers have nothing left to fear. Digging Guy, aka Thug on the Run. Escape is impossible. Duct Tape Lady, aka Duct Tape Lady. The Duct Tape Lady. Geek, aka Snitch, Spike Swingin', Psycho, yada yada. There's something wrong with this guy. Fiendish Thingies, Mole People, aka Merc Dwellers, Resnors. Watch out for these subterranean, subhuman urban dwellers. Mud People, aka Sludge People, Dung Heapies, Dirt McGirt, Slime Time. Wear your galoshes around these guys. Trash Critters, aka Uncanny Critters, Garbage Fiends, Grouchy, Killer Can, Roaring Garbage. Dispose of litter properly, but be careful. Sewer Thing, aka Great Groper, Lurker, Hermit Hand, Sewer Hermit, Sir Grope-a-Lot. Let's just say it's not out to lend a helping hand. Wall Street Snapper, aka Daily Snarl, Rabid Times, Street Sheet, Ripper Rag, Rude Blat. Bad news travels fast and hurts a lot. Rats, aka Fuzzy Wuzzy, Fritz the Rat, Scuzzy Wuzzy. These filthy, annoying urban menaces lurk everywhere. Lean Mean Fighting Machines, Dozer, aka Ground Masher, Compactor, aka Doghouse Dozer, Tank, aka Tractor Cannon, Ceiling Gun, aka M60 Chain Gun, X42 Prototype, Slayer Thing. Robots, aka Stomper, Griffbot, Simbot of Doom, Pogobot, Humpty, Bad Egg. Trucks, aka Maximus Trucky. Helicopter, aka Menacer, Chop Chop, Immortal Copter. Cars, Jeeps, and Trolleys. The right vehicle will take you where you need to go. Some very special orcs. Trapper, aka Steely Don, Trapper John. Some call him the Daniel Boone of orcs. Tin Man, aka Metallicur, Robo Orc. This large metal robot has a creamy orc at its center. Yum. Kissing Orc. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Generic Orc, aka Troglodyte, Big Goon, Torque, Little Seizure, Pork, Trolley Trog, New Orc Yankees, Spork Tosser, Fork Flinger, Fix It, Sporkman, Mechanic Trog, the fork be with you. As you see, besides the generic blue orc, these odoriferous creatures will come in many shapes and sizes. They adapt quickly to any new environment. Dragon, aka Nefarious Nagtalon, Thermosaur, Puff, Big Lizard. Your typical large smoky reptile. Mission Map. Amazing Bronx facts. Robert De Niro is from the Bronx. If not, he should be. Ed Annunziata is from the Bronx. He was beat up by girls and then moved to the country upstate, right up the Taconic Parkway. The area was first settled in 1641 by a Dane named Jonas Bronk. Locals began calling the region Bronx. Woodlawn Cemetery opened for business in 1865. Called the resting place of the famous, its residents include Herman Melville, Admiral Farragut, Duke Ellington, and J.C. Penney. Best epitaph? George Spencer died in 1904. His tombstone reads, "Lost life by stab in falling on ink eraser, evading 6 young women trying to give him birthday kisses in the office of the Metropolitan Life Building." In 1917, famous Marxist Leon Trotsky moved to the Bronx. Yankee Stadium is located in the Bronx. The Bronx has a peninsula called Throg's Neck. When the Cross Bronx Expressway was first built in the 1940s, it displaced 60,000 people, creating many social and economic problems which exist to this day. The moody writer Edgar Allan Poe once lived in the Bronx. The Bronx County Historical Society sells 19th century postcards. While there, you can also listen to hours of taped interviews with prominent Bronx business leaders. Fun! The Bronx Zoo, with 265 acres and 3,850 animals, is one of the largest zoos in the world. Side note, I've been there. It's nice. The Bronx is home to the New York Botanical Gardens, a 250-acre paradise of woods, gardens, and conservatory. Another nice place. The South Bronx is part of the Bronx. Teddy Roosevelt, Mark Twain, and Arturo Toscanini all lived in the same Bronx mansion, though not at the same time. The Bronx has the best pizza in the world. Mission Briefings. Streets of Bronx. You need quick reactions and a droll sense of humor when battling the iron-fisted, slobbering orcs. Look out for flying appliances. The mean streets were never meaner. Pit Bully. Bully has the personality of a fire hydrant and twice the charm. Here's the gig. Take out his hellhounds, then bust up the big bonehead himself. Hills of Bronx. Is that a rat on your face, or are you happy to see me? Gym House. Knock down a house full of muscleheads without getting cleaned and jerked. Forecast for today is cloudy with barbell-sized hail. Bronx by Day. They call him Frazetta, a four-fisted bully who loves cholesterol and hates you. Some advice? Forgo the pizza, or you could wind up as a special topping. Bouncing Bed. Some orc is bent on triple dwarficide by a boulder drop. Lucky for you, you're armed with a mattress. Pressing the D-pad left or right moves the mattress. Not the bouncing baby. No napping now. You snooze, you lose. Garbage Hills. What a dump! Die, Mr. Bad Wrench, and take Skiploader face with ya. House of Fire. Every dwarf should have a wrecking ball. Ride it, you bad thing. Demolish the apartment and put a damper on the scaly thermal blowhard. The Stadium. Orc outfielders catch the ball with their faces, the cheaters. RBI your team around the bases without getting beaten to a pulp. No bunting. Trolley Ride. Score some skulls on those tricky tracks. You must be this tall to ride the trolley. As always, dirty dwarves ride free. Man of 1,000 Swords. This former sales manager from Jersey opted for early retirement to pursue his hobby. It involves tall buildings and flying swords. Oh, and he doesn't dicker. Rikers Island. New York's famous prison is tailor-made for people who want to get out of the city but can't take that commute to Connecticut. Play What's My Crime with inmates while they get cute with a fork. Taconic Parkway. Time to thumb your way out of this burg. No whining about pedestrian rights here, pal. When you see a ride, take it. Laser Research. Invade WST and meet the Cleaver Kids. June babies are so cute. You can keep them occupied for hours playing Catch the Hatchet. Barney's Machines. The final showdown. You can make it if you don't get stomped into steak tartare by a can opener on steroids. Hey, it could happen. WST, Weapons Systems Technology, for your eyes only. 1946. In 1946, a hush-hush companion organization known as ASS, Association of Secret Services, was created by a special act of Congress. Congress didn't even know it. It had been led to believe it was voting on a bill to subsidize cement production in rural areas. 1947. The first covert operation of Association of Secret Services, codename Operation Clean Sweep, was so classified that even the agents involved weren't told what it was. To this day, nobody is sure what exactly Operation Clean Sweep was meant to accomplish, if it succeeded, or even if it occurred. 1950. These are typical of kinds of missions ASS agents were assigned. Agent X would be told by a contact, "We need 50-year-old Hungarian oboe player in San Francisco at the corner of Geary and 25th on October 25th at 9 o'clock p.m. Agent Y would be told, "Set fire to an accordion in Manhattan's Times Square tomorrow at 7 a.m. Agent Z would be told, "Put a bucket on your head and sing 'She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain' as loud as you can." Agents were never told why their assignments were important, or even if they were. Other top organizations could very well have been playing practical jokes on them. 1951. By 1951, daily operations of ASS had become impossible due to the extreme security restrictions imposed on its personnel, none of whom were permitted to communicate with each other. The head of ASS, former Marine Major Thomas Bird Dog Douglas, complained to President Truman that he didn't know what his mission was, what his budget was, or who was working for him. President Truman ignored him, later asking aides, "Who was that guy? Is he nuts or what?" 1952. Major Douglas had become so frustrated with his job that he decided to quit. Unfortunately, since ASS had never been overtly acknowledged as an official organization, he didn't know where to go to resign. He finally sat down and wrote a letter by hand to all the members of Congress, the White House, the Supreme Court, the CIA, the Department of Defense, the Justice Department, and the Secretary of Agriculture. Major Douglas's handwriting was so bad, however, that nobody could make out what his letter said. Assigned the task of deciphering it, the code crackers at the CIA finally decided it was a letter from a Mark Dallas, requesting money for an organization called WST. The CIA concluded that WST stood for Weapons System Technology and recommended that funding be granted. 1953 through 1960. And so Major Douglas, to his confusion and delight, found himself in charge of experimental weaponry research. He was pleased to have a job he understood, even though his staff had the strange habit of calling him Mark or Mr. Dallas. Until his retirement in 1960, he did the job well. Under his leadership, WST developed the exploding cow, the stealth taxi, the invisible machine gun, lost during maneuvers, unfortunately, and never recovered, and the paper-cut laser. The paper-cut laser contributed to one of the great victories of the Cold War. Snipers opened fire on the fingertips of KGB bureaucrats in East Germany, and the resulting injuries made them unable to file top-secret documents for 6 weeks. 1960 to present. Weapons systems technology had grown 100-fold since Mark Dallas retired. From simple weapons and explosive devices, WST has branched out into military software, robotics, psychological warfare, and genetic manipulation. Since 1989, WST has been under the command of Colonel Waggon Briggs, who hopes to lead WST into the 21st century and beyond. Personnel files: WST-1067-PROF1 CINC-WST Priority 1. Name: Briggs, Waggon. Rank: Colonel. Position: Commander-in-Chief, Weapon System Technology, CINC-WST. On special assignment from the United States Congress, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Central Intelligence Agency. WST is a unique venture, a partnership between secret sectors of the U.S. government and various private corporations who have donated time, money, and equipment to the organization in exchange for total anonymity and a hefty percentage of any arms sales. Colonel Briggs' duties include overseeing the weapons lab, creation of warfare software, creation of unstoppable warriors through genetic manipulation, robotics development, psychological intimidation techniques development. Other, too secret to mention. Background: Colonel Briggs is an exceptional officer who spent a lifetime in the service of his country. Though he has been repeatedly decorated for bravery, distinguished service, good conduct, and perfect attendance, the public at large, and even most of his colleagues, are unaware of his heroism. This is because his career is a secret career. On paper, Colonel Briggs doesn't even exist. He is the federal government's unofficial military advisor for all covert operations. He has burrowed beneath the hot desert sand of the Gobi to escape wily trackers. He has single-handedly blown up destroyers in the Red Sea. He has taken out Soviet machine gun nests in the teeth of raging blizzards. He has parachuted onto Mount Everest. He has reorganized the Pentagon's filing system. Now he faces his greatest challenge. He must transform 4 reluctant, brilliant children into the warriors of tomorrow. Hobbies: Colonel Briggs does not believe in hobbies. Habits: gargles with cobra venom, terrifies subordinates, uses a live grenade as a paperweight. WST-1067-PROF1 CINC-WST Priority 1. Name: Barney. Rank: Barney. Position: Special Aide, Adjunct, Assistant to Colonel Waggon Briggs. Barney's duties include doing whatever Colonel Briggs wants him to do, obeying the commands of Colonel Briggs, anticipating the needs of Colonel Briggs and filling them, following Colonel Briggs' orders, facilitating the venting of Colonel Briggs as needed. Background: Barney is a young soldier of great promise. He is very good at following orders. Hobbies: saluting, standing at attention. Habits: sometimes shouts "Yes, sir" at inanimate objects. Document 1 Backgrounder WST-4 Gen Core 1 Codename Gregory. Though he is weak-sighted and soft-spoken, WST profiles indicate that Gregory is a natural leader. He is a chess master and walking library of facts, statistics, historical data, languages, and literature. Since defunding of Operation Daycare, Greg has been deployed in weapons development. Greg has developed encryption software that has encased all our secrets in a code so thick nobody can break it. Unfortunately, the encryption is so good he can't even crack it himself. All our documents essentially are lost, and the software therefore has no known military value. Retrieved from Gregory's wastebasket, written on crumpled, torn paper. Quote, "It is theoretic, scratched out, theatrical, scratched out, possible for altern, scratched out, alternative, scratched out, other worlds to merge with a J with this one. Document 1 backgrounder, WST4, Gencore 2, codename Kyle. Since the age of 3, Kyle has displayed engineering and technical skills second to none on the planet. Kyle has programming skills that may be as much as 20 years before their time. Since the funding of Operation Daycare, Kyle has been deployed in weapons development. So far, Kyle has given WST the stealth bicycle, the heat-seeking surface-to-air muffin, and an unarmored personnel transporter that can be transformed into a dinosaur with a few simple flicks of the wrist. All these devices have been built. They are all elegant, well-made machines. Unfortunately, they have no known military value. Found in Kyle's quarters, written on notepaper and pencil. Cool ways to get Briggs all mad. Salute him every time he says anything. This always ticks him off. Call him Daddy. Hug him. Draw pictures of kitties in weapons manual. Document 1 backgrounder, WST4 Gencore 3. Codename Billy. A musical prodigy. Billy is a master of all musical instruments ever created and a few of his own design. He is also an expert on chaos and advanced mathematical theory. Since the funding of Operation Daycare, Billy has been deployed in weapons development. Billy has been doing research, supposedly, into the use of sound as a weapon, but all he has given us so far is a piano concerto, a solo for accordion, and an essay on the physics of yodeling. None of what he has accomplished so far has any known military value. Recovered from Billy's pocket, scrawled on notepaper. Annoying sounds that could be weapons. Car alarms, screams of unhappy babies, smoke alarms. Note, test sounds on Barney. Document 1 backgrounder, WST4 Gencore 4, codename Laura. She possesses creativity in major proportions. She is a storyteller, poet, songwriter, novelist, painter, sculptor, and filmmaker. Since the funding of Operation Daycare, Laura has been deployed in weapons development. Laura has developed a theory that beings from other worlds and dimensions can be transported to our world to do battle for us. This theory is too absurd to have any military value. Written neatly on lined notepaper. Dwarves of Destiny, trademark. Greg, Billy, Kyle, Laura, Co., 1996. Introduction. Dwarves of Destiny is a role-playing game. You need a lot of imagination to play it, because it's just a fantasy. It's made up. It could never really happen. No way. You become one of the 3 fierce dwarves, Corthag, Greg, or Taconic. With the aid of die throws, you must guide them through their own world to the place where sorcery and science intersect, a portal to another dimension. They must jump through this portal into a different space-time, where a general is keeping 4 children cruelly imprisoned. Through the dwarves, you must rescue them. The Dollar of Destiny, Laura, will act the parts of everybody else in the game, and will present you with new characters to meet and fight. This is a world where dragons, monsters, demons, wicked secret armies, and generals who hold children against their will can be overcome and destroyed. A world where dreams come true. The game is ideal for 4 players. 1 to be the Dollar of Destiny, shaper of the environment, and the other 3 to become the brave dwarves who explore the strange world and face its challenges. Crumpled paper retrieved from wastebasket. Daddy was a lab rat. My mama was a tube. Barney gave me formula. Then we went back to his cube. I hate it here. A house of our own. of wood or stone. Interview. Laura, Gregory, Kyle, and Billy were interviewed by Pesky magazine for their, quote, preteen spirit spotlight, quote, section. Pesky, you were test tube babies, is that right? Laura, sort of. Kyle, worse than that. Billy, we were total lab rats. Pesky, cool. No parents to boss you around. You don't have to do chores, take out the garbage, walk the dog, do dishes. Kyle, this is true. Billy, but... Pesky, there's a downside? Laura, we have to think of top secret weapons of destruction. Pesky, def. Kyle, we're geniuses, you know. Billy, don't tell them that. People don't like to hear that. Pesky, do you have anything to add, Gregory? Gregory, no. Pesky, he doesn't talk much, does he? Kyle, Billy, Laura, no. Memo from Colonel Waggon Briggs. 2. All personnel, especially Barney. Content. Operation Daycare is a washout, a bust, the worst snafu since Dien Bien Phu. These kids aren't super soldiers, and they will never be. I'm not going to waste any more taxpayer money on a military disaster. I have decided to assign the children to Conference Room D12, Sector 8, Corridor A15. Install video monitors. I want the little monsters watched at all times. Give them crayons and graph paper, and let them design us some super weapons, pronto. Let's see how smart these pint-sized mental giants really are. That's it. Move it. Briggs. Credits. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce some of these names. There's a lot of limited warranty. Sega of America Inc. warrants to the original consumer purchaser that the Sega Saturn compact disc shall be free from defects in material and workmanship for a period of 90 days from the date of purchase. If a defect covered by this limited warranty occurs during this 90-day warranty period, Sega will repair or replace the defective compact disc at its option, free of charge. This limited warranty does not apply if the defects have been caused by negligence, accident, unreasonable use, modification, tampering, or any other causes not related to defective materials or workmanship. To receive U.S. warranty service, call the Sega Consumer Service Department at 1-800-USA-SEGA. To receive Canadian warranty service, call the Sega Canadian Consumer Service Department at 1-800-872-7342. Do not return your Sega Saturn compact disc to your retail seller. Return the compact disc to Sega Consumer Service. Please call first for further information. If the Sega technician is unable to solve the problem by phone, he or she will provide you with instructions on returning your defective disc to Sega. The cost of returning the disc to Sega's service center shall be paid by the purchaser. Repairs after expiration of warranty. If your Sega Saturn compact disc requires repairs after termination of the 90-day limited warranty period, you may contact Sega Consumer Service Department at the number listed above. If the technician is unable to solve the problem by phone, he or she will advise you the estimated cost of repair. If you elect to have the repair done, you will need to return the defective merchandise, freight prepaid and insured against loss or damage, to Sega's Service Center with an enclosed check or money order payable to Sega of America Inc. for the amount of the cost estimate provided to you by the technician. If, after inspection, it is determined that your compact disc cannot be repaired, it will be returned to you and your payment will be refunded. Limitations on warranty. Any applicable implied warranties, including warranties of merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose, are hereby limited to 90 days from the date of purchase and are subject to the conditions set forth herein. In no event shall Sega of America Inc. be liable for consequential or incidental damages resulting from the breach of any express or implied warranties. The provisions of this limited warranty are valid in the United States only. Some states do not allow limitations on how long an implied warranty lasts, or exclusion of consequential or incidental damages, so the above limitation or exclusion may not apply to you. This warranty provides you with specific legal rights. You may have other rights which vary from state to state. On the back cover, you have an advertisement for Scud, the disposable assassin. Surreality just got funky. It's cool to be a robot. Rating penning. Scud's a good game too. That was the almost complete entire manual of Three Dirty Dwarves for the Sega Saturn system. Thank you so much for listening to me stumble my way through that manual, and I hope you got some more insight on how to play the game and a little bit of the backstory, or I should say a lot of the backstory on who the characters are, who the enemies are, some amazing Bronx facts, and just a little bit of information about the universe created for Three Dirty Dwarves. I feel like sometimes when a lot of us play video games anymore, the art of the manual has been kind of washed away, since you don't really get that in a lot of modern games anymore. You have to go online to read the manuals. Not a lot of care is really taken into consideration of the manual. Now, the manuals on a lot of retro games, or even older games that maybe borderline retro, a lot of those manuals include a lot of important information, or sometimes tips and tricks to be able to get you through the game, maybe give you some more information that you may not know with special attacks. Generally, games anymore will give you hints and tips on screen, which is really nice, but I feel like a long time ago it was really nice to be able to take a manual, look at the artwork inside, look at the different tips and tricks. It adds a lot of character to the game, adds a lot of story, makes you kind of feel more connected to the game. And again, sometimes these manuals give you a lot of great hints that actually might be really useful. One example I can think of is E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the Atari 2600. Now that game actually, if you read the manual for it that came with it, there's a lot of hints in there that help you beat the game that most people these days, when you go to play the game out of context, don't have the full instruction on how to play, and therefore say it's a bad game because you don't understand how to play the game. Well, a lot of times, if you take the time to read the manual of a retro game, and sometimes it's harder to because you might get a disc only or cart only copy of a game, or just play it through emulator, you don't have that luxury of reading the manual. So, if you're in one of those camps, thank you so much for listening to me talk about Three Dirty Dwarves and read you the manual. If you need to skip back to any of the sections of the video, I recommend doing so. However, this one has some tips in the very beginning of the game about how to play 1, 2, and 3 player, the differences between difficulties, and the different normal and power attacks. The rest of it is mostly about the backstory of the game. There is a map in there as well of the Bronx, which is kind of cool, but most of it is exposition. So thank you so much again for listening to me talk about the Three Dirty Dwarves manual and read to you the manual out loud. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Take care now and game on.